1100, and I'm sure they're sorry to see you go. So outside of it being a larger station, which we know, what were some of the factors towards pushing you, to move your operations to another station versus syndication? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, just the growth of the station. Since I met you and Hezzy, at this point, I think it's been 3 years now. Has it been 2 or 3 years? It's time flies. Is it 2? Okay.
I think it's 2, but I'm not sure. It could be 3. I know.
Right. I thought it was 3 years. But I think with the show growing organically, we're kind of trying to follow in the steps of not grow so big. I've learned from others' mistakes who said they kind of came out the gate and they just wanted it to explode. And we're trying to take the necessary steps to where when the time comes to syndicate, we're in a good space. I didn't want to go too fast. So that's why we're just graduating to a larger station. I think is going to be enough for us right now because I'm also been able to do some stuff on TV. I was on CNN's HLN not too long ago over Super Bowl weekend and in the middle of writing a book. So with all that, I didn't want it to be such a, perfect storm of too much and not being able to handle it. So just trying to take my baby steps, but yet be ready so when the time comes and we actually, turn on the big switch and somebody approaches us and say we want to take this to the next level, well, then we're at a good place.
Nicole, as usual, you got the phones ringing as usual. You hear that in the background? I say your name, phones ring, everyone's going crazy. We're not picking up the phones tonight, people, okay? Enough is enough. Listen, so you're writing a book. We'll briefly get into that, but I want to talk to you about a very serious topic that you had mentioned to me. You were talking about the adoption process.
Yes.
Take us down the path.
Okay. Well, first, like a lot of couples having to deal with, infertility, I think it's one of those topics that people are still uncomfortable to talk about. And I really think that's the case, especially within the African-American community, because I think, it's kind of this misnomer that people take it for granted that it's just so easy to get pregnant. And if you see, like, your mom and sisters, aunts and aunts and cousins, whatever, you kind of take it for granted, like, oh, it's just, when my time comes, it'll be very easy. And when the time came, it was not easy, and it was very frustrating. And I'm sure people out there who have also dealt with infertility will know, too, it's very lonely. You find yourself kind of in a bubble. It's kind of twofold because it's kind of like you and your husband are in this because you feel like you're the only two people going through this. And then as a woman, I think you find yourself in that bubble of, crap, I can do anything. I can jump out of a plane. I can write a book. I can have a radio show. But the one thing I thought would be so easy, I can't do. And it's very frustrating. So we had years of fertility drugs. We did IVF. And all that takes a toll. And I think anybody who's gone through it will tell you it's the least romantic time. Here you are, having to, plan to be intimate, and you have to coordinate schedules, and you have all the shots and the drugs. And, all that takes a toll on you personally. Like for me, my weight was constantly up and down. My hair fell out. My skin changed. It's really weird because your body almost goes through, your body starts feeling like it is pregnant, but you're not. So it's like they're preparing you for it. So, it was years of that. And not a lot of people knew, just really close friends and family, because it's one of those things, too. If you I made the mistake the first round we did of IVF, Ted, is, I told everybody because we were so excited, and then when it didn't work, you then have to have the whole, well, what happened, and, you can try again. So you just kind of, again, stay into that bubble, and kind of, after a while, you really isolate yourselves from people because for me personally, I went through a part of where I just didn't want to be, like I didn't want to go to baby showers, I didn't want to go to friends, kids' birthday parties, I used to dread at the time when I was working in corporate America when somebody announced, oh, I'm pregnant. So, you go through all this gamut of emotions till officially you get to a point to where, you know what, I'm just done. And I got to that point, and for me, I had grown up with kids who were adopted. One of my best friends from high school at the time, she was adopted. So I'd always known. My husband, it took him a little longer to kind of come to the realization of, okay, this might be our only option. He has a child. When we met, he had a 2-year-old daughter. So for him, and again, I think it's just one of those things within the African-American community, we really don't talk about adoption. So for him and some of his family, it was kind of like, well, keep trying, whatever. I was like, well, then I can't do it anymore. So when I brought it up to him, he wasn't receptive just yet. But so I wanted him, to come to the decision on his own. Let's say like that. I didn't want to be like I forced him to it. So after a while, he was like, you know what, I'm good. Let's try it. And I'll tell you, Ted, we had talked seriously about surrogacy as well. But for me, I think having to go through all the shots with the surrogate, I think a lot of people don't understand, especially if you're donating your own egg, you still have to go through the process. And I was just done. I didn't want any more drugs in my system. So that's why we chose adoption, and I'm really excited about it because, we found out just talking to a lot of different adoption agencies, there's a shortage of African-American parents. So it's one of those things where every agency was kind of clamoring for us. I mean, I kind of felt like the most, it was like, oh, okay, we're the most popular kids on the block, so to speak, because they were really dying for African-American parents to adopt.
I got to jump in here, Nicole, and say your story right now has really moved me. I mean, I love you as a person, but now I love you even more with hearing this story because we talked about it through text message, and the way Nicole and Ted always talk, we talk through text messages while I'm on the train in the morning, and Nicole is doing a morning show or she's producing some content, some exclusive content. But I got to tell you, from an African American's perspective, from a male's perspective, that's that leap that your husband, and I can't wait to shake his hand when I come down to Atlanta, because that's the step that we have to take as men. Because whether or not the child is your blood own or not, that child is yours. And there's such a shortage. Go ahead.
Yeah, my grandmother used to say, look, you feed a kid long enough, they start to look like you. And
of course,
I think we can all agree, especially all the stories we hear on the news, and especially over the last, let's say, 5 to 7 years. I mean, child abuse is at an all-time high. There's a lot of people out there who have just, not only have they abused their kids, they've killed their kids. So I don't even get caught up into because you had a baby that makes you a good parent. There's a lot of bad parents out there. At the end of the day, if you can provide a home and love, and kids are easy, love them, feed them, clothe them, and protect them. It's not rocket science. So that whole blood, I'll tell you, it's a bunch of crap. So I don't even get caught up in that because I know a lot of people who've taken in other people's kids, so to speak, as far as whether they're in abusive situations or a relative couldn't keep the child. And at the end of the day, that's all the child cares about. So I don't even get caught up on as far as like worrying about the birth mother or the birth father, because I see it, they're giving me a gift. It's a blessing. I hate when people say, I would never give up my child. First of all, everybody's circumstance is different. I think we can all agree on that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So as far as that young lady or those teenage parents, they're not giving them up. If anything, they're giving me a gift. Because I have to tell you, it takes a lot of courage to want to be able, to carry a baby for 9 months and then come to the conclusion of, I can't take care of this child, but I know somebody else can. So that's not giving up. If anything, that's giving a blessing. And that's something I'm excited when that day comes because, we'll have the conversation that they're adopted, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to be loved and spoiled. And all that means is at the end of the day, mommy's oven didn't work. You had to be baked somewhere else, and keep it moving.
So I was going to go into the fact that for males, not just African-American males, there's a shortage of fathers. There's a shortage of parents overall out there. you've got to be that positive role model. But the first step is to, any child, anyone. I notice, like, the older I get, and I'll see someone that's a nephew. So I have a couple of my nephews, and I'm like, you know what? I treat them like my sons. Mm-hmm. And I love them like my sons. And granted, they have mothers and fathers, but they know they can come and give me a call or send me a text message. And I've always said to them and the parents, like, if you're in a situation and you're not sure what to do, give me a call. I'll be there. And I just think in this leadership perspective, that's the role we have to play. And I got to commend you. The one question I do have to ask you, and you're probably going to slap me when you see me, I'm going to say, is this, so you're starting to go through this adoption process. Is it a closed adoption or open adoption?
It's considered semi-open, and basically what that means is adoption agencies have changed over the years. Now, you can have a closed. It costs a lot of money, and you pretty much go through an attorney. But if you go through an agency, especially a reputable agency, they want you to have some sort of relationship with the birth mother from the beginning, because what happens is that birth mother actually picks you. So gone are the days where, it's kind of like you're picking. They pick you because the idea is they want the birth mother or birth father, if he's in the picture, a lot of times he's not, to be comfortable with the adoptive parents. We would meet, and she would basically be interviewing us. How she meets us is we just finished the phase where we had to create a family book. And basically what that book is telling me and my husband's story. So think of it as far as, it's kind of like when you want to buy that fancy car, so you pick up the book and it has all the great things about the book, and then at the end you kind of make the decision. So the book kind of tells our love story, how we met, our background. It has pictures of our family, our siblings, where we live today. It shows our wedding, our engagement, where we honeymoon, where we vacation, our likes and don't likes, what we like for TV, do we believe in God. So it gives her an idea to get to know us. We would then have a face-to-face, and then of course then it goes into, if she does, pick us, that's when we go into as far as, when is she due, are we able to come to the hospital, that kind of thing. And every state has rules as far as when the baby is officially yours. In the state of Georgia, there's a 10-day waiting period. So that baby would be placed in another home during that 10 days just because it allows the birth mother or parent or both parents, if they were to change their mind, they would get the baby from the home. They wouldn't take the baby from your home. So, and like I said, every state is different. Like in the state of Michigan, where I'm originally from, it's a year. I believe in Utah, it's 1 day. So it just kind of, for those out there listening, when you're interested in adopting, just make sure you know the rules as far as your state. So that's the phase that we're in. And with that, we have the option to create an account, Ted, to where we would put in information about our child on a monthly basis along with pictures. And that is available to her, I believe, until they're 3. And then after 3, then it's up to us to create like an account to where she could go in on an annual basis up until they're 18 and just to kind of see how they're doing. And then, of course, at that point, it would be up to my child to decide whether or not they wanted to meet their birth mother or birth parents, which I personally don't have a problem with because I know from past experiences, friends who are adopted, they know who their parents are. It's just one of those things to where I'm not ever going to feel threatened because, they're going to be in my house up until whatever age they leave, whether they go to college or go to the military or whatever. But I think it's important for them to know. I think it's important for everybody to know kind of where they came from. And if they did want to develop a relationship, kudos to them. If not, that's okay too.
Nicole, that is a powerful story. We're running out of time, but I want you to give me a quick excerpt on your book. I want you to tell me quickly about ways we can help with your new show and the best ways to get in contact with you via social media. And in that order.
Okay.